time here. We are bringing out the panel. You guys ready for this? All right. Starting with from Blue Jays Nation, Mitch Bannon, everybody. From Sportsnet and Jays Talk Plus, make some noise, everybody, for Julia Kreuz. And last and definitely not least, the co-host of Jays Talk Plus from Sportsnet, make noise for Blake Murphy, everybody! All right, let's start with you, Julia. How you liking?
Why?
Well, that is your closest, and I'm just really going down the line here. Is the answer to that? How is the new gig?
Oh, it's been.
I mean, you're what, 3 days in now? You're asking me this right next to him?
No, it's been awesome. We were actually just talking about it, kind of,
Well, I was doing my thing, yeah.
Yeah, no, we were definitely listening. We were definitely paying attention. And I think, we both agree. It's been a lot of fun. It's always an adjustment, obviously. It's new for the both of us, but I do think we complement each other really well, and it helps that we're friends, I guess, outside of the studio as well. You know, it's pretty common for us to just be sitting and talking ball and having a beer, and we're trying to.
Welcome at drag brunch on Saturday, I don't think.
The idea, I guess, is to make the show that minus beer, unfortunately.
Well, I know that the first 3 episodes I've really enjoyed so far. Blake, you're done with the Raptors. How does it feel to be back in baseball season?
Did you see how the Raptors season went? Do you want to guess how it feels? No.
So you have hope again?
Yeah, it's weird for the Jays to be the hopeful franchise for me. No, it's great. Like, I love doing both, and the last couple of weeks have been awkward where you're trying to do both things at once, but it's great. Like, the show's gonna be a lot of fun with Julia, and then this is such a huge Jay season for so many reasons, and they're like good or bad. They're gonna be so interesting. Whereas I just went through 82 games of like nothing matters, get me to the draft lottery, like simulate to May 12th, the night of the draft lottery. And like I love like the player development stuff and things like that on basketball, but like nobody really cared this year at all.
I mean, there were even moments where people were like, they're winning too much.
Yeah, the undrafted rookie they plucked out of the G League is too good. Fire the front office. It's like, man, it must be nice to have a front office that is too good.
Yeah.
No, it's great, and everything's going to matter. So, like, every game is so high leverage this year for the Blue Jays. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And Mitch, in an insane coincidence, we actually wound up both boarding our Porter flight in Calgary to come back to Toronto last month, and we're seated next to each other, which is wild.
We basically did a Blue Jays podcast.
We literally did a Blue Jays podcast for the two of us. Yes.
It was really good, trust me.
It was amazing. One of the best podcasts you could have been a part of. So, Mitch, baseball season is here, right? 11-8. This has been a great start so far for this team. If you're going to pick one guy so far as to someone who has impressed you, why is it Chris Bassitt?
If you leave baseball in ERA,
Yeah.
not many notes for that, but he's actually made some adjustments, which is like crazy because it's a 36-year-old guy who's like done it for a decade and is kind of a finished product. Now he's like, oh, I got a new splitter. It helps me get lefties out. Oh, I'm going to get even better. And I don't know if he's going to lead the league in strikeouts. I don't know if he's going to break 200 for the first time in his career, but he's got an ERA below 2.
I wonder how many times he comes into camp and tells his catcher, I've got a new pitch, and they're like, oh, fuck.
How large is the pitch gong? Seriously. Like, everyone else has a Nintendo controller, he has a full-size keyboard.
He's got 4 of them. Yeah, put together, exactly. Yeah. So, when you look at this team, Blake, and you realize how important 2025 was coming into this season, Vladdy getting signed, does this feel any less important? Like, does it I don't know why in my brain watching Vladdy get signed, I almost breathed easy being like, oh, I mean, 2025 still matters, but there's hope after this too.
I think that makes a lot of sense. The biggest thing the Vlad signing did for me was clarify the medium term, right? Like short term, everyone wants to win this year. Shapiro's a lame duck guy. If things don't go well, you're probably shopping Beau Francis, you're probably shopping Chris Bassitt and a bunch of other pieces. And then now, like, okay, 2029 and beyond, who cares? Like, who knows if the planet still exists and things like that. But what's like immediately clear with that and the Jimenez trade and the Kirk extension and some of the other contracts they have in is like they're not going to pull the chute medium term because 2025 is bad. The Vlad signing to me signals that there is no plan for a rebuild if this doesn't go well.
Yeah.
And I still think 2025 is super important, especially through the Boba lens. But there's no longer a concern for me that like we're headed into, okay, there's going to be 4 years of 70-win baseball where finally tickets are cheap again, but none of us like we have to watch Josh Towers for 3 years again. It's
One Toronto franchise at a time can rebuild. Let's have that firm rule.
And that one won't lower the ticket prices like the Jays probably would.
So it was interesting after 2024 wrapped up and they did the postseason interviews. One of the things that Shapiro said was he zoned in on the bullpen as an area of need. And you know what? Honestly, Jeff Hoffman and Jimmy Garcia.
Yeah.
I mean, Julia, it really does feel like they are the best two back-end relievers this team has had since like young Aaron Sanchez and Roberto Osuna.
Yeah.
Like, it has been a while. Do you feel comfortable with this bullpen when you watch the Blue Jays? Obviously, every bullpen in Major League Baseball is going to, you know, if you start getting down to that 7 or 8 guy in the pen, there's question marks. How do you feel about the high leverage guys?
First of all, way less problematic.
Yeah.
I think that's the first thing. And yes, it's pretty unbelievable that Jimmy Garcia is doing it again. Very reminiscent to the start that he had last year.
Yeah.
When it was like he had that stretch of however many innings without walking a guy, without allowing a run, and just striking out everybody basically. Goes to Seattle. He's not as good. He finishes the year in the IL, comes back, and it's Jimmy Garcia again. And like no time has passed. It's really unbelievable how well he has done with the Blue Jays. And Jeff Hoffman, man. I don't know. It was kind of like a weird situation with him, obviously, with the physicals that he couldn't pass and the fact that we didn't really know where he was going to end up. And now you look at him in a Blue Jays uniform and the way that he has pitched, it's like he was meant to be here all along. It's pretty crazy. And I think he's pitching like that too, right? You have heard him say that he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and we all saw the kiss blown to the Orioles dugout, and that was so special and really, you know, a narrative moment for a guy like that.
I weirdly had a Yankees fan in my DMs so upset about that. I was like, what skin do you have in this game? You're a Yankees guy. Why are you so upset?
Also, why are you messaging Blake?
Leave me alone.
Go to therapy.
Unless it's about Marcus Stroman's astronomical ERA. I don't want to hear it.
It was Jared Cole.
I loved it. I love anything that upsets Yankees fans. And honestly, it was kind of cool to see a little bit of grit on this team for a change, right? Like, it feels like a sandpaper moment there.
Absolutely.
And also, I forgot how cool 2 winning saves are.
Yeah, this is, I don't know when the last time a closer had 2 wins this early in the season, but we'll take it, right? And you know, beyond the narratives and beyond the fact that obviously these guys pitch with emotion even though they're not showing it, it's the bat missing. It's the fact that they're striking guys out. It's something that we haven't seen in a while in Toronto, and it makes a difference in the level of confidence that you have in that pen. Absolutely.
Home runs has been an issue this year, and Mitch, we're starting to see it kind of break out a little bit. I mean, Vladdy was so frustrated that you could tell the monkey was off his back because English Vladdy is going full bore this year to the point that he's even swearing in English. He got into that dugout exactly to quote him, it's about fucking time. Right? So, home runs come in bunches, and I don't think we're at that point quite yet, but do you feel like the Jays, who are 26th in home runs in Major League Baseball, are on their way out of that? Like, do you see them as a bottom third team in home runs. Do you think they can get into that middle half?
Here's how I view the power on the team.
Yes or no question?
Let's take a break.
My child.
Stop pointing out things that aren't questions.
I think this team has proven if the pitching is going to be this good, their floor is kind of the 2023 Blue Jays, where they're really good run prevention, really good pitching, and then the offense leaves a lot to be desired.
I love how quiet you just made the audience.
But that was the ceiling of the 2023
Yes.
team.
Right.
This is the floor of this team. If Anthony Santander can turn into the summer version of himself, where he's launching bombs in Baltimore, he's got extra base hits and a bunch of straight games now. If he can be that guy, great. Vlad, we know what he can do. Beau looks like last year was a what the heck happened. Bo Bichette's going to go back to being Bo Bichette. The ceiling is a lot higher than recent Blue Jays teams, especially in the hitting department. And if the pitching is going to be this good, that's the makings of a really good team.
Yes. Yes.
I agree. Blake, do you believe in this pitching? Do you think that Dalton Francis, are you behind him 100%? Everyone loves to bring up sample size, but I mean, you start to look at his sample size, you're like, shit, it's almost a full season now.
Also, what sample size? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. We get one turn on the Earth, right? Like everything's a small sample size if you really want to get existential about it. Yeah. No, it's no. I'm a Dalton Francis believer.
If everyone can drop their mushrooms now.
Which, look, I never asked him. I think Dalton Francis would appreciate it, probably, right? No, I'm not going to turn my back on the guy who came back with hand tattoos and gets neck tattoos between starts. That's my guy. That's my kind of guy. He is fascinating in that, like, you dig into, obviously, like, I'm a numbersy guy, and you dig into some of the stuff that's, like, doesn't really look repeatable, and then every single hitter looks like they've never seen a fastball before when he's mixing the fastball and splitter well and things like that. So I think I like that. I like the demeanor aspect with him. Like I trust a guy like that to weather the ups and downs of a full season of starting. And yeah, I don't know. I think he's good. I think like when they first picked him up, it's interesting. Like he was like, the curveball's a really nice guy. And then he went down to Puerto Rico in winter ball, and then I was like, oh, the fastball picked up. And then he comes up to the major, it's like, yeah, he's a splitter guy now. I don't know. When a guy has found a couple different ways to like be a guy and has that kind of head on his shoulders, I just think he's going to figure it out, even if there are little blips here and there. Probably not going to throw a no-hitter every game, but I think last start is not a regression.
And also YOLO, right?
Yeah.
YOLO!
Sorry about that, guys.
So when I was on tour, one time I saw on the side of the road, it was spray painted, YOLO forever. And I think about that all the time. You only live once forever. And I really like that. It's poignant.
I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Yeah. I'm so confused. Yes. So I'm a big Alan Roden guy.
Yes!
I feel like I'm biased because he has been on the podcast numerous times. He actually came down and did Baseball Town in Dunedin when I was there in spring. He just feels like a ball player. You know, it's funny because as a kid growing up, you always hear old men say, "That's a ball player," and I always be like, "I don't know what that means."
That's not a ball player, that's a physicist.
That's right.
Kind of makes him the perfect Jays Talk Plus guy. He was great on the show last year too.
Yeah. Like, so I guess, Julia, my question to you is, when you watch Alan Roden, if you're going to give an over-under, does he, over-under's the wrong way of putting it, does he stick with this team all year? Do you think we ever see him in AAA again?
I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. At first week of the season, I still had my doubts. But I think we had BNS. I don't know if it was you, Blake, or if it was me and Show. Sorry.
Commonly confused for each other.
But at some point, I was talking to Ben Nicholson-Smith, and he kind of predicted that Roden would receive Rookie of the Year votes. And that was my reaction at the time. That was it. I was like, wow, you're really putting a lot of stock into this guy. Obviously, you saw him in the spring. I wasn't there. I didn't see him. But there's something there. There's clearly something there. It's not just contact. It's not just controlling the strike zone or good base running. There's also the head on his shoulders, right? And that's been the difference maker. You kind of see that he is not super phased when he's at the plate, even when he's not doing tremendously well.
He gets hit.
And so,
He shakes it off.
and listen, he still has a bruise on his chin from shagging fly balls a little too hard in spring training, and that tells you how much he wants to be here and how much he wants to make this work in every way, shape, and form that he can. So there's something to that. We know what he is as a ball player, and we know that he is an extremely smart young man. He has the head for the game as well. So if he can put up a few more bats than the ones that we have seen so far, where he's fighting, he's scratching and clawing against very, very good pitching, I don't think there's any reason to send him back to AAA, especially because there's guys on this team right now on this roster, and I know Davis Schneider's got option today, but who are performing less than Alan Roden is.
Julia, do you think that Davis Schneider makes his way back? And by the way, I love Davis Schneider. Like, this is not a knock on him.
Biceps are
Heck,
lovely.
yeah.
Also a friend of your podcast.
Also a friend of the podcast.
Sure thing. I think he has a chance. He needs to figure some stuff out, man. It's been a brutal stretch for him, and obviously it dates back to last season. It's not just something that we're seeing this year. It seemed like he had figured something out in the spring. He was hitting well, and then
This is where he needs
season
Blake
started.
perspective on things. It's all a
Please,
small sample
dude.
size.
Bail me out here, please.
I mean, he does, like, look, obviously the surface level stats are bad. It is a really small sample in terms of at-bats he's gotten. I don't think he's that far away. Like, I think the strike zone judgment stuff is still really good. He's gotten hosed on a couple high strikes that, like, he's going to go back down there, and I'm going to have to make jokes about him being an automated ball strike merchant because, like, his walk rate is going to rocket again like it did when he was in AAA. But I don't think he's that far off. Like he wasn't bad in a he looks overmatched way. But the biggest reason I think he'll be back at this point is, like, you look at what this roster looks like right now and what the bench looks like on an average day, and then when Varsho comes back, if Lucas goes down, they're just so lefty heavy at the bottom that they need some righty who can run into one against a lefty reliever or a lefty starter here and there. And there are, like, Arovis Martinez is striking out in over half his at-bats right now. Davis Schneider's the only guy who fits the bill on that Buffalo team right now. Obviously, like, July, we could talk about going out and getting someone who does that, but I think he finds his way back. One, because I don't think he's that far off, like, actually at the plate, but two, they need another righty off that bench.
What about Jonathan Clase, though, who's a switch hitter?
They need someone who could play the infield also, though. And I know David Schneider doesn't play it super well.
How many
but, like,
innings has he played in the infield this season?
yeah, I know. Andres Jimenez is not coming out of a lot of games. I get it. Yeah, Clase's off to...
What's that? JD Martinez still sitting out there?
Yeah.
If we're abolishing the infield requirement here.
I don't know. I just don't think that he's the first guy back from or up from AAA at this point, right?
So,
not if Clase continues having like a 950 OPS and stealing bases.
And not if he
we're deep diving into the 26, 25, 24 man on the roster
Sorry to
here,
hijack
right?
your show there, but
Were you going to talk Ryan Yarbrough next?
Myles Straw. Listen, it's funny because when Mitch and I were sitting on the plane, we literally talked Myles Straw for like 45 minutes.
I take back everything I said.
It was just like, both of us were just like, I can't believe we took on this money. But honestly, so my question, Mitch, is if he could, I mean, obviously not if he continues to hit 370, but if he continues to contribute in a meaningful way like this with the limited at-bats that he has, and that's the one thing about this 30-year-old who has a track record, is that, you know what? He seems to be dealing with time on the bench better than, let's say, a Davis Schneider. Do you think that Myles Straw has it within him to be that fourth, fifth outfielder on this team all year long and be the defensive switch and all that sort of stuff?
This is a team that was trying to make the playoffs, made the playoffs, and had Bradley Zimmer on the roster for like 120 games. Like, clearly they are comfortable with that mold of player, and the way Straw is playing right now is way better than Zimmer ever played for this organization. And he also, as Blake said, is a very left-handed team. He's a righty bat. I don't know if he's a guy you're pinch hitting against a great lefty reliever late in the game, but maybe they'll have to if no Davis Schneider on the roster. I think he just has a lot of tools and the right-handed swing that will keep him at the bottom of this roster, regardless of Varsho coming back, other players getting hurt. Like, I think he just has an easy path to stick on this roster. It doesn't hurt that they're going to pay him $6 million to do this. Like,
Right.
if you're paying a guy that much and you're hoping he can be good, you're going to give that guy the run over the prospect, too.
There's also a pinch run component too, right? Where he's a very smart and good base stealer. And Jimenez has added a nice speed element here, but he's going to start every game. You can't bring that in as a pinch runner for Kirk. So you would like that's a path where Straw has something there where like maybe they'd use Lucas like that, but I think Straw is just so much more of an accomplished base runner.
Yeah, completely. And I think not to rehash the conversation we had on the plane, but
None of us got to hear it. Rehash it.
Maybe we have to rehash it. But at the time, I think I and a lot of people viewed that as a pure cash dump.
Yeah.
He wasn't even on a 40-man roster. I thought, oh, this is like a way to bury money. This is an accounting maneuver for the Blue Jays to use the Rogers finances to get a couple international bonus bucks.
Yeah.
Maybe they really liked Myles Straw. Maybe they actually saw something.
I know, I'm starting to think that too. I'm like, even if they didn't like Myles Straw, you know damn well they're going to say they did.
They need to take
It's a
credit for
plan
Myles
all
Straw
along.
for sure.
So, Blake, it's interesting when you look at what the fan base has been. They went from literally hating Shapiro and Atkins, right? And then
Continuing.
Vladdy gets signed, and I don't know if it's truly a wrestling term, face turn, or if Papa Rogers came down and just handed him $500 million and was like, go get our boy, and it happened, and it really is irrelevant to who's in charge. Do you see Shapiro and Atkins as at least a medium term, like in the next 2-3 years, or do you think that this year means do or die for them?
I think this year's still really important. Look, Shapiro is on an expiring contract, which is really relevant. Now, look, in Shapiro's role as president, it's about more than the baseball, right?
Mhm.
They love what he did with Dunedin. They love what he's done with the stadium. They are in the mix for an all-star game in the next 5 years or so based on all the reporting and things like that, and that would be a big boon for Rogers. I think the Vlad thing, you don't get a $500 million check, and like it's really notable that Edward Rogers was at the press conference. I never met the guy before, and I worked there for like 4 years now. That's the only way I can get FaceTime with him.
He wasn't at your contract signing?
He was not at my. He wasn't at Julia's contract signing.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, nothing like that. So I think that's notable, but no, I still think they're in a prove-it situation. Maybe that falls more to Atkins than Shapiro because Shapiro's role is like business and corporate stuff as well. But yeah, like they're not going to. They're fifth in payroll right now, and they just spent $500 million on a face of the franchise who, by the way, was inherited by this front office. So kudos to them for re-signing him, but it's not like they can be like, oh, the guy you just invested in was our guy to begin with. I still think they have to prove it on the field, and that means like meaningful playoff baseball. It's like Shapiro is the notable one because his contract's up, but I think Atkins is the one that like, hey, the buck stops with you when it comes to actually winning playoff games this year. I think it has to.
I agree, and I do think that when it comes to this front office, you know, like this is going to be the 11th year, right? Like 11 strikes and you're out eventually. Like, how many times?
And the one hit you got was like very inherited from Alex Anthopoulos. Like they'll take credit for it.
Yeah.
But like even that 2016 draft, like everything we've heard was like, oh, it's still Anthopoulos' like held over scouting director that picked Beau and Cavan, who's now pitch running for the Kansas City Royals. But like those were the draft wins, right?
I like Cavan.
He's where he belongs on a team that always wins with bad players.
He's a good kid. He's not a hit. You can separate those two things.
It is wild that Kevin Biggio is almost 30, right? It's like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, sorry I called him a kid.
Yeah. So Dalton Varsho is set to return, hopefully any time now.
Yes.
He's on the verge, obviously. Julia, how much better is this team with Dalton Varsho?
Nice.
They are
They
substantially
are better. They are better. I wouldn't. Okay, listen. I started saying a lot better, and then I stopped myself. They're significantly better. They're
Myles
significantly.
Straw's hitting 370.
Myles Straw, though.
Hey, Lucas though?
Myles.
Fair.
Put him left.
Listen, if you're going to make a deep and meaningful postseason run, I feel like a broken record saying this. Every single spot in that 26-man roster matters. The spots that Dalton Varsho is going to take matters, and he is going to make the team better. The Blue Jays were extremely conservative with bringing him back for a reason, and that is because his value is on defense. And the Blue Jays' defensive outfield is going to be way better with Dalton Varsho. Now, Myles is hitting phenomenally right now. I don't expect that to continue. And I'm sorry, I don't. Guys, come on. He's hitting I also don't expect Tyler Hyman to hit 500. It's not, it's not
It's funny you say that, because I was just going to bring that up to like, add to your point, right? It's like, I keep getting questions on the podcast, should Tyler Heineman see more time? And I'm like, no!
No.
Let him soar with one time a week, you know?
That's great. That's great. I agree with you. And we've been getting those questions a lot too, and I never know how to answer because it's awesome that people like Tyler Hyman, but you know, it's
The Magic Man!
sure.
How much better would you be at your job if you only had to do it once a week?
Great point. We should try that.
We ever run a 12 straight show days coming up? Don't think like that.
But yeah, no, for sure. Dalton Varsho is going to make this team better. We know that he has the ability to pull the ball. He's an extremely streaky hitter, but when you look at what the Blue Jays are lacking right now on offense, maybe Varsho does play a part in that as well. And we freaking saw George Springer at center field more than once this year. I think bringing Dalton Varsho back is a win in that alone, right? It's just, and we know that this team values defense a whole lot.
You know what, one thing that I'm loving about this team that no one's really talking about, and that's fair, is that Andre Jimenez hitting in front of Alejandro Kirk feels like a fucking godsend. Like, in my household, my wife constantly calls Kirk double play Kirk. She actually calls him DP Kirk, but I'm like, stop doing that. But like, listen, having a guy with the base stealing acumen of a Jimenez in front of him, it makes a world of difference. He's getting quick starts. He's you know, it's just, he's not, the double play thing isn't as prominent with Jimenez in that situation. Mitch, out of everything that you've seen about this team so far this year, what's the one thing that you maybe were surprised about, but really quite like about this team that you didn't see coming?
I can't go back to Myles Straw, I'd say.
You can take Myles Straw if you want.
No, I think we've beat the Myles Straw horse enough for who he is. But I think it's got to be George Springer. We haven't seen him for the last couple days, but he was as close to wash as you can get. And he had 2 years left on his deal. And it was looking like an albatross. And for the first 12 games of the year, he was arguably the second best hitter in
People
baseball.
were talking about cutting, like sending texts into post-game shows talking about cutting George Springer.
Where are those people now?
Not in the text line.
They don't leave the text line, Julie.
Show man's the text line. I don't know.
They'll just want to cut someone else.
I'm gonna start texting in. I think that's gonna be my
Call
11th. Yeah. I'm gonna get a bunch of fake phone numbers and just George Springer cut questions one night. You're gonna get 40 or 50. And Penticton and I ran out of
Those are the only two cities you know?
I can just
Hamilton.
You live in Toronto. You mentioned Calgary earlier. Lots of options.
You could have said
Left.
Toronto, yeah. You could have said Mitch from Toronto. I wouldn't have assumed it was you if someone texted in. Now I will.
All right, so this is what we're going to do now. We are now at the portion of the show where you, the audience, gets to ask some questions. So what I'm going to do, number one, is Nick in the room by the chance? Blue Jays today, Nick. We got, yeah, Nick, do you want to come up here
Look
and
at
grab
those
the mic?
arms.
And being the fact that you're the loser of the trivia off, you are now going to haul the mic around and go to people with questions.
What if I
that's
have
all
a
right.
question?
Well, that is actually, you can start us with a question here if you want.
Can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So you guys were talking about
You guys were talking about like the pitching being phenomenal right now, and I mean like Chris Bassitt and Kevin Gossman, like insane stuff that they're doing. I was taking a little gander down some of the advanced metrics, Baseball Savant, on all of our veteran guys, and obviously they are doing some insane work. On the flip side, though, Jose Barrios not really doing so great so far. Are you worried? Is there any cause for concern, or is he still a machine and going to give us 32 quality starts?
He was looking right at you, Julian.
He's not wrong. I was, yeah.
I'm not worried about who he is. I don't think that this is another. Was it 22 the year that he kind of messed up?
Mm.
I don't think that this is it. I think he's run into a bit of bad luck, and when you pitch to contact and when you have the sinker as your pitch or the changeup, sometimes things are not going to go your way all that often. I would have to turn to Blake for the advanced metrics in this and the FIP and all of that, but I'm not too worried about him. I think that we are going to see a little bit of a turnaround here. He's looked good already this year.
Yeah.
And it's funny that he kind of like sucked on opening day, and then this is now his ERA. And you do start to wonder, is this another 2022 situation? It doesn't look like it, though. It doesn't look like it when he's on the mound. I do think this is just a little bit of bad luck in a small sample size.
I think with respect to the metrics, I think one of the next things the Fangraphs and Baseball Prospectus people are going to do is they're going to at least try to quantify the Bassitt and Barrios types, where it's like I know Barrios' surface numbers are bad right now, but he's a guy who always outperforms what those underlying metrics say.
That's
historically.
true, yeah.
So does Bassitt by half a run of ERA every single year. And I think there's something the broadcast guys call it pitchability or whatever. Maybe it's just hey, if you throw 4 more pitches, you keep guys guessing enough. Justin Steele just Tommy John, but he's a guy that hey, you throw 92 and you throw all fastballs at 92 from the left side. How does this work? But you get in and it's a bunch of different pitches. Yeah, so I think there's Barrios and Bassitt are both long enough into their career that I'm just going to trust them to figure it out, given they have a long track record of outperforming some of those underlying worry signs.
I feel so much better about myself because that's the exact same thing that I said on the podcast a couple days ago. So you just gave me some great reinforcement there.
All right, let's take a question. Lizzie, let's see what...
Great hat, by the way.
Why, thank you, sir. Hi, my name is Lizzie McGuire from real life.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. That is my name.
I'm sorry.
I'm also a Topps card. You can look me up. Thank you so much. I have a question, though. It's an obvious, kind of stupid question, but we had a lot of catchers we could choose from, and we have Alejandro Kirk, who we just signed him to a substantial deal. Now, the man, he can't run. I have one bet this year that he's going to steal his first base, and he's not going to do it. But I will say that, he's DP. All right? You watch him over and over hitting double plays, and shit, if he's not hitting dingers, is he still our guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll take the reins on this off the top, because I think it's the expectations for Kirk, at least for me, have changed a bit. I don't think he's gonna be the starting catcher in an All-Star game in the next couple of years again.
Not again.
Yeah. I think it's more the deal they signed to him tells you what the expectation would be, and yeah, it's substantial in that it's over $50 million. But on a per year basis, it's not that much.
But it's an unusual move for our team. We don't understand, guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah. Well, my one concern about that is if an automatic ball strike comes in the next couple of years, it's what does that do to Kirk's value? But I do think it's the money they're paying him. If he's a 1.5, 2 WAR catcher, you're getting a return on investment there, which is a phrase the management likes to throw out a lot. But whether or not he's your guy, I think is a good question, because he is worth the contract they gave him, but is he a guy who you could hit in the 5-hole on a playoff team?
Yeah.
I'm not as sure anymore.
Exactly.
To your point about the stolen base, though, and your earlier point about him hitting behind Jimenez, double steal is the situation where that happens, right? And a catcher gets caught not thinking quick snap thought of I should throw to second for the slower runner. It's just I gotta get the lead runner.
Yeah.
And then Jimenez allows Kirk to sneak in.
Won't happen.
Thank you for that. I put more money on that. $4.
Put more money on it. That's right.
Thank you.
Double down.
My turkey.
All right. Do we have another question? Let's go further to the back here. So
She literally had the mic.
Oh, we've already made a choice. Okay.
Rachel, I'm doing it. Rachel, take it.
This is yours now.
Thanks, man.
Alright. Go ahead.
Lizzie handed me the mic.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm Lizzie McGuire's friend. My question is this. I feel like the bottom of our order is getting like a ton of hits right now and like just doing really good. And what I've heard is that the hitting coach was basically like, I'm going to focus on the bottom of the order. Like, you guys at the top, you just like do your own thing. And like, they haven't really had any instruction right now. I want to know like, how true is that? And like, do you think that's a problem? Because like, Bloody just had his first dinger of the season. Like, what do we feel? How do we feel about that?
So I said all last year, and it wasn't defending Guillermo Martinez, but I was like, everyone puts way too much stock on hitting coaches. But I also find myself guilty of being like, David Popkins, he's pulling it off. So I understand that sentiment, but I don't think that there's actually that like kind of like math behind it where they're like, yeah, we're going to focus on the 5 through 9 hole, the top of the order, they have it under control. I really think that it's fluke.
Top of the order, just go to your dad's.
That's right. The top of the order all has their personal hitting coaches and they can deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my read on it, is that, like, there are multiple hitting coaches, and, like, Matt Hag worked with the Buffalo Boys because he was in AAA the year before that, so those were his guys, but, like, yeah, if you're going to allocate your resources around, you know, probably makes sense to, like, Vlad's going to figure his stuff out. Vlad has his process. Beau's going to figure his stuff out. He has his process. I think it kind of makes sense, but, like, David Popkins is still the lead in that room in those discussions and stuff. He's not, like, ignoring Vlad and Beau. It's just those guys have an established track record and a routine, and I would assume if I were a coach in that spot, I would be like, Vlad, you come to me if you need anything, and I'll drop everyone. I will drop Alan Roden and Myles Straw immediately if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and his $500 million contract ask for my help. But, like, those guys have enough track record of, like, hey, they figured out with their current process that he doesn't need to get too hands-on, would be my read from afar.
But they're still getting directives.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like they're just doing their own thing and not being held accountable to anything. And that is very clear if you're in the room with John Schneider previously. That's very, very clear.
And, like, the staffs are so huge. Like, Chris Bassitt mentioned, like, 3 or 4 different people in his post-game last night, and, like, Bagley to the analytics team, and if anyone here goes to IBL Toronto Maple Leafs games at Christie Pitts, they hired Sam Green from that team to be an assistant pitching coach, who's like an analytics-focused guy on the pitching staff and stuff. Now, like there are like 30 guys and girls around that are helping with different stuff. So I wouldn't look too much into like, hey, I don't see Popkins like on the iPad with Beau that much or anything like that just yet.
We'll take a couple questions further in the back here. Go ahead. Grab someone there, Nick, if you... Oh, here we go.
Hello, Claudia from Toronto. Two things really quick. After your podcast in Dunedin, it was great, I gotta tell you. We just fell in love with Alan Roden, and so we were waiting afterwards to get an autograph.
Yeah.
And he disappeared, and the owner of the Woodwright
Yes.
Brewery, he said, oh, he's just right outside, and he'd already kind of like walked the block away, and I hollered out to him, and God bless him, he stopped, and he talked to me, and because we talked about how important it was to have fun while they're playing, and how much better that they would play. If you guys didn't hear that podcast, you should go and hear it, because it's great. You learn all about Alan Roden there on that podcast. Oh, and my second thing is, what do you think now that Vladdy's had his $500 million contract? Do you think he should bat first?
So first of all, thank you very much. And yes, Baseball Town Dunedin is on YouTube right now. You can check it out. We talked to Chad Dallas, Riley Parada, and Alan Roden. Great kids. Go ahead. What do you guys think? Should the $500 million guy get one extra at bat every once in a while? Should he be hitting the leadoff? Should he be Shoheiing it, Mitch?
Sure.
Sure.
I'm not like necessarily opposed to it. I think Vlad you have to drag him to the plate for him to lead off of a game. Like this guy loves hitting third so much, and then getting him to hit second was a bit of a multi-year process.
Yeah.
I think moving him up one more would be tough. Honestly, I'm not totally against it.
Mitch, you and I have not talked about this yet, but what do you think of Bo Bichette hitting leadoff? Because the consensus, like, among people that I've talked to is like, you get an actual leadoff hitter hitting leadoff, and then you can push everyone else down a spot. And like, Bo loves hitting second, Vlad loves hitting third, Santander's cleanup hitter. What are you like? Is that your sentiment as well here?
Coming into the season, yes. But looking at the current makeup of the roster, like I just want a guy at the top of the lineup who's going to be a good hitter and get on base a lot. And like right now, Bo is the guy who best checks those boxes. Like if they had a guy, if Alan Roden was getting on base at a 360 OBP at the bottom of the lineup and was like taking a lot of pitches, sure, push him up to 1. But like he's not doing that right now. Like if you present me with a more traditional leadoff hitter, someone who is putting up pretty good numbers, and
Someone who's hitting 370 and steal bases.
If Myles Straw's hitting leadoff for this team, we're in a dark place.
I thought he was talking about George Springer.
Yeah, well, I think George is kind of the same guy as Bo, though. Like, they're not, like, neither of them are traditional leadoff hitters who are going to, like, walk a lot. So I don't hate putting arguably your second best hitter right at the top there.
All right, folks, I hate to wrap it up here, but there is another show at 9 o'clock. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to make some noise for our panel right now for coming out. Give it for Mitch Bannon, Blake Murphy, and Julia Kreuz. Thank you so much for being here, all three of you. You can go ahead and retire to the green room here. Again, I so appreciate you all being here. All right, folks. This is what I'm going to need you to do, all right, folks? Give it up one more time for Jordy and Thomas, our roasters. Nick and Adam of Blue Jays today. I'm Scott Milford with the Walk-Off. Check out the podcast, our next show for Baseball Town, right here at...
Not here.
Right here.
We have our trivia winners. We have our trivia winners, Scotty.
Oh, and our
Scotty.
trivia winner. Okay, we have our.
Can I announce them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So we have round of applause. Go on the table. Yeah, we have Jesse and Kevin and Cheryl.
Yeah. So we will.
Come see Scotty. Well, come see us after the
we
show.
will divvy up the prizes. You all win entrance to our Blue Jays trivia night at left field. You got a little bit of prizes here. There is a magnetic schedule here. All right. Now, again, we do have to get out of the room here, so I'm going to wrap up here. I will say this, okay? May 15th is the next show. If you are here right now until midnight, okay, if you buy your ticket tonight, you save $10. You get it for $15. The code is OKBlueJays. I'm Scott Milford. Have a great night.